Shout out to US ARC and all US ARC members. If you don't know what US ARC is, don't be ashamed. Just go ahead and click the third link in the description below. See what US ARC is all about, okay? You never know when legislations are going to hit your backyard, so that's why it's very important to consider becoming a US ARC member today. These numbers really do matter, and they look at it for consideration when it comes to battling legislation. So first and foremost, thank you, Phil Goss. Thank you to anybody out there who partners up and volunteers with US ARC organization. Thank you for anyone out there who's a US ARC member. And if you can't become a US ARC member today, please talk about it on your platforms. Let your neighbors know, let all your pet stores know what US ARC is here for, and it's here to fight for our animal rights. Thank you to every US ARC member and US ARC supporter out there. True.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, episode 682. Got my man, Ryan Young, the GOATs, back finally for this one-on-one. You guys are in for a freaking treat, dude. Really excited, but listen, this is your first time hanging out tonight. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, especially if you're listening and you're like, damn, this stuff is fire. Like, wow, this is very informative. Then hit that subscribe button, dude. All right, help me grow this channel organically. All been organic, the growth for this channel. So please help me continue that growth. And then also smash that like button. And then in the comment section, drop what you're getting the most out of each episode. All right. You got a guest you think I should bring on? Drop that in the comments too, man. Let me know. But woof, I'm excited for tonight. So much to discuss. I was waiting for this episode, especially after having the year I've had so far. Nobody better to bring on than Ryan Young. But yeah, I'm your boy MJ, man. What's good? Happy Thursday, everybody. We all know Thursday nights belong to the trap. And you guys, if you're here right now, you're in the right place, all right? But yeah, I'm excited for tonight, all right? Just want to say shout out to anyone who's tapping in right now. You know, listen, if you're looking for exclusive content, first and foremost, if you want to get more behind the scenes of what I have going on, especially with my own breeding projects and everything, my wait lists on certain stuff, then come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Don't wait any longer. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family, connect on the Discord, and there's an awesome Instagram group chat popping 24/7. Trappers Global all over the world. So thank you so much for all the love and support, man. I just want to get the sponsors rolling here because I don't want to wait much longer. Like I said, I'm very excited to have Ryan on tonight. There's a lot to discuss, but shout out to my man, Brian Susan. We'll be talking travels tonight for sure. My man, Brian Susan, is on an adventure somewhere deep in Jakarta, I think, or Sarong Island. I don't know. He's in there. He's in the thick of it. But man, please, if you're into really awesome species of geckos like gargoyle geckos, kahua geckos, this is your man right here. Also, tree monitors. Cannot forget about the tree monitors. All right. He works with all species of tree monitors, and he's top tier, man. This is really true captive bred animals brought to you by this man, Brian Susan, over at Sundown Reptiles. Head over to his website, too. You can find the website in the description below, or you can just simply follow him on Instagram. One of the amazing guys that we have in the hobby. So thank you so much, Brian Susan. I hope you get back home safely. All right, safe and sound. My dog, Brian Susan. And I'll be seeing you at Tinley, hopefully, you know. So anyways, all right, shout out to Brian Susan. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by someone else I really admire in this hobby. That's Gary Scavino. What a guy. GS Reptiles. Please head over to his YouTube channel, especially if you are new coming into the arboreal game. You want to grasp as much information, but without it being like kind of too complex or complicated. This is your guy right here. Gary lays it all down for anyone to understand how easy it is to keep a lot of these species. All right. He does it the best. And so go follow his content again on YouTube, GS Reptiles, and follow him on Instagram as well. Never know what he will be dropping on Morph Market. So I would highly recommend you follow him on Morph Market on top of all the other platforms. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by one of my favorites out of Texas. And, you know, I'm kind of fresh off a Texas trip. I had a great time. I finally got to visit this man's collection, Mark Hager from Texas Chondros, and I have an epic vlog that's going to be releasing on MORPH Market, I think next week, or no, 2 weeks. So first and foremost, go subscribe to MORPH Market, and then, you know, set your reminder for that. But anyways, Mark Hager's collection, definitely second to none when it comes to yellow neonates and red neonates. And he brings so much amazing stuff to the table. I would follow him on Instagram, TX Chondros, because he also puts a lot of amazing Texas chondro keepers on the map. He's been doing that for a while now. Thank you so much, Mark Hager. Good time hanging out with you a couple weeks ago in Texas and at Bill's party, because that was quite the time. We'll definitely be talking about Bill's party. So if you had FOMO of the mayor's party, don't worry. We'll give you details of what went down. Can't give you full details, but we'll talk about it for sure. But yeah, thank you so much, Mark. Texas Chondros. Again, find his website in the description below. Last but not least, man, if you have an arboreal snake and it needs a perch, go over to the Reptile perch and buy that perch from David Brahms, who designs these PVC, very easy to clean perches for all boreal species, all sizes, hatchlings, all the way up to adults. Thank you so much, David Brahms. And of course, he has amazing, pure monocory projects and other outcross stuff that he has going on. I'm sorry, Ryan, didn't mean to say that, but I'm just saying, this guy has a heat that you don't want to sleep on, and I would check it out immediately. David Brahms, thereptileperch.com, and also check him out on IG. Shout out to people in the chats, man. I'm excited. Like, I'm real pumped up. I feel kind of brand new because first and foremost, it's Ryan, right? And Ryan's a good buddy of mine. Like, I never thought I'd become this cool with Ryan. And I obviously have to thank all the trips that he's gone on, that I've gone on with him. And I think obviously that got us closer. But dude, I've learned so much from this guy. So I'm very excited. I can't really emphasize how excited I am for tonight. So shout out to people who are here tonight, because you guys are all in for a treat. I don't want to wait much longer. So, if you're in the chat tonight, you think that tonight's worth any kind of super chat, or if you have a topic or something that you want to cover, drop a super chat. I'll make sure I won't sleep on it. And yeah, we'll get right to business. But guys, without further ado, you guys are in for a treat. Like I keep saying, this is episode 682. So do what you got to do to get your mind right, and do what you got to do to stay hydrated. This is Ryan Young, the return of Ryan Young, with the first time ever MVP Trap Talk intro coming at you. Let's go.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
That was sick as shit. My man, Ryan Young. I'm a man.
Oh my god. That's always gonna take me back.
Dude, what's up, buddy? Good to have you back. Oh man, just excited to have you here, because I want to get right into the amazing trip that we had over at Bill's. If anyone's like confused about that song that I was just playing, well, dude, I found out a lot about you that I didn't know over that, man. And music's a huge thing to me, and I got music that traces all the way back. I'm in every category, I would say, man. But obviously, I think the most important era of music is when I was around, and obviously, I think 80s, 90s. And then rap came into my life, I would say mid to late 90s. And then, that was being played at Bill's. And I looked at you and I was like, and you knew the lyrics. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, Ryan Young, guys. Hey, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know this, Ryan Young is a huge, huge Tupac fan. And he knows the albums. He knows the bars of all the songs I was dude, one of the best moments ever at a Bill Siegel party. And then that song, of course, I think everything led because of that song that was being played. That's when I knew that you even liked music, because it's hard to know what you like and what you're into, Ryan, unless you really dig it out of you sometimes. And like I said, we've gotten closer over the last couple years. But like, you're not somebody who just tells your information. Like, you're not a blabbermouth, I guess, unless you're like asked something. You don't really tell people shit. And so when I found that out, dude, I was like, dude, we definitely just became best friends, bro. And so it was.
Well, you had the music topping that night, so both nights.
Yeah, hey, shout out to the mayor, man. So I asked Bill, I was like, Bill, can I be in charge of the music? And good news, bad news, right? The good news, right? Everyone had a good time with the music, but my music was so popping, it popped the speakers.
No, it was good. It was a good time. It was definitely enlightening.
Yeah, man. But honestly, it was one of the best times. You know, obviously, the best thing about a Bill Stiegel party is getting more personable with people. Even though I feel like we were just in that corner the entire time. Well, definitely you, Steven, Brooke, and there was a couple other heads over there that were just like, I feel like it was like the VIP lounge area. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not, you know, the funny thing is I'm not the best at mingling and all that stuff. And so I tended to just hunker down and wait it out. But had a great time anyways.
That was the best spot to hunker down at, though, like, because you know you could conversate, and I feel like whoever, well, first and foremost, hot box is shit. So if you were in that area, you're probably getting some secondhand. But what I was saying is like you know, you don't forget cool parties like that when it relates to shit that you're obsessed with, and I'm obsessed with this reptile stuff, and as you have been for how many years now, Ryan? This is what you would say you've been a hobbyist, and also doing this full time for how many years at this point?
Yeah, I started actively acquiring pythons in 1998, I think.
What a year!
So I kept some stuff previous to that. I had a ball python, and I think I had a rubber bow and a few wild snakes before that, but actively being able to purchase my own animals after I graduated from high school.
So 98, I'm curious, did you ever have any of the experience, some of these people talk about the 90s with ball pythons being so difficult to breed, or at that point were they just like straightforward like they are now?
No, back then they were still considered real tough to breed.
Wow.
I worked at local pet stores, and we used to get big wild caught ones, and the reason I had a ball python was the pet store gave it to me because it wouldn't eat. And it did end up eating for me. It wouldn't eat anything that was a mouse or a rat. It would eat a bird, it would eat a hamster, it would eat a gerbil, it would eat whatever, but it wouldn't eat a mouse or a rat. And it was a pretty big male. And I had it for a while, but yeah, they were tough, real tough back then. Tough to get a good shed, tough to get them eating.
Yeah, so almost to like anything that could be possibly tough as an import now, like there's scrubs that could like come in not wanting to eat sometimes, or like almost anything could be like that. But like ball pythons were that type of snake back then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, ball pythons are built not to eat too. People take that for granted. The short, fat snake, they're made to eat a lot in a short amount of time and then go a long period of time without eating. So their physiology makes it extra easy for them to stress us out with them not eating.
I want to get into a few things tonight. Obviously, you've been a huge help. I've said this multiple times, well, mainly on a Tuesday night. That's why I'm also excited that you're here on a Thursday night, because, I do want to talk to whoever tunes in on Thursday nights, which is usually my bigger night of the week. And so you've been a huge fucking impact on how I run my room. And I'm very fucking vocal about it. Like I love the fact that I don't rely on the panels doing the job as far as heating these snakes for the most part. I figured out how much, and especially because where I live, right? I'm in San Diego, so the ambient is something that's like my friend in a sense, like the temperatures that we have out here. But like a lot of other people, like I said, they're not always from that demographic of weather where they could get it like that, right? And so I think regardless where you live, and this is what I want to talk about right now, is like, you could also get a room dialed in regardless what's happening outside to where you'll be just fine. And I kind of want to hear what your go-to would be on that. I mean, obviously we talk about how important temperature is and humidity, but if you were to think about a room that you're able to put snakes in, fresh, brand new room, like what would be some of the first things that you address? Like what are the important things to you before you like get stuff in there, especially stuff you want to breed and whatnot?
Well, I guess you have to decide kind of more which route you want to go. There's in essence two camps. There's the, less reliant on the room temperature camp and more reliant on heat elements in each cage. Or you can go with with larger collections. Sometimes it makes more sense to go with ambient more so than individual heat, or you can do a combination of both. So you kind of have to, I started out with a cold room, used a lot of heat inside cages to make up for that. And then as my collection grew, I switched more to ambient. because it was just easier for me. So, but then that's different too. My first initial snake rooms were in basements. And so a basement basically doesn't do anything you don't want it to do. If you want it to be 82 degrees, it'll be 82 degrees. It won't get hotter than that, because it's insulated by the earth. But when I went to an above ground snake building, when I moved out here, I had to relearn. It was a completely different learning curve because the sun interacts with the building and heats it up. And so it was a completely different animal to figure out.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy too is like, for instance, I know you've been in my house, but like, I don't know if you recall how close that sun feels in my backyard. It just fucking cooks my house, I feel like. And it could be like a chill day, but if that sun's out, I still feel like I feel the shit out of that sun anytime it's out. And so
you got that big hillside just behind your house that's just radiating the heat back to your house.
Dude, so I feel like maybe, yeah, so that's a good point because I always feel like there's just a huge draft heat anytime the sun's out. I'm like, God damn. I always look at my weather and like, I'm like, it says, oh, looks like a nice 81. I'm like, it feels like fucking 93 right now. Like, I feel like I'm getting cooked. But also like, that's something I had to learn how to work with my room and adapt. And I feel like a lot of people, and we've always talked about how people get advice from a few people and instantly implement whatever they hear, but you got to be careful with that. It's okay to do, but you got to understand that things could probably go wrong and, you're going to have to adjust somewhere. And I think one of the things that people instantly go wrong at, like one of the many things people instantly go wrong at is the heat, dude, for sure. Like for sure. But you don't know how many times, bro, because obviously the way I'm a believer of the panels now because of you, but how many times motherfuckers are ready to put like 80 watt or 100 watt fucking panels in a 2x2x2. And I'm like, no, like, dude, that's covering the whole fucking cage. Like, no. And they just don't know better. They're just like, oh, okay. Like, and I got to tell you, there's certain companies that would like even recommend that size panel in their cages. And I'm just like, dude, no, that's just not necessary. But, again, I would you agree? Like, do you feel like heat could kind of be the first thing people have a struggle figuring out, especially being new keepers and working with new species and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, if you're starting off with a small collection with no heat in your house, or the room isn't very warm, then obviously you're going to have to make up for it with heating in the cage. And so it's a challenge to get it dialed in sometimes. And there's so many factors. It's really impossible to even try to really figure it out because every room in your house is going to be different. The upstairs, the downstairs, the west side, the east side, like there's so many variables that can make it hard to do. But if you have a room that's warmer, then you don't have to rely on the heat as much, and that makes it easier. And it makes it more, the more the cage is closer to their preferred temperatures, the more of the cage is usable for the snake. And I see people with big, huge cages and big, huge heat panels. And every photo I see of the snake is glued to the wall away from the heat panel, trying like hell to get away from it. And so, to me, it's like, yeah, you got a great big cage, but if most of the cage is unusable by the snake, then it's a prisoner of trying to avoid that radiant heat.
And on the opposite effect on that, like if the heat is not putting off to their liking, they could you'd find themselves not leaving the panel at all, even though they're getting cooked. They just won't fucking leave. And I remember struggling with that back in when I had all these things it was all fucked up. Like I'm not gonna lie, it was a mess. But also thank God because I don't know, I learned a lot of things the hard way, and I'm okay with that because as long as I learn from it. But the heat, man, because also too, we always talk about how to do this with a big collection or bigger than normal size collection. But I'll tell you right now, man, and I want to know what your take is on this, Ryan. But this will be the most chondros I ever sold in my life this year. All the people that I am selling chondros to, they were expecting to put it in their living room. Well, they want to put it in their living room. That's their goal. And I'm like, whew, these aren't, first and foremost, not that that's impossible to do or you shouldn't do, but we all know that's probably a recipe for fucking disaster, only because it's a living room and people come and go, you know, and you have people that you visit, and we all know how comfortable new keepers get taking it out and showing people. And I don't know, like, just in my head, I'm just like, I have to take a deep breath and be like, all right, you have to have this conversation with them now. Because I don't know, like, some people also don't have a choice too. Like, I've talked to some of these people and they're like, dude, I don't know where else to put it because my wife won't let me put it in the room or whatever the fuck. So, you know, like, what do you say to that? And, or like, what do you
I mean, look, any of these situations can be done. They're not that, you know, the reality is they're not that fragile if you give them, you know, the basics. The first chondros I ever had, I had in a 29-gallon fish tank on my nightstand next to my bedroom, and you know, next to my bed. So it it could be, I kept them in fish tanks for a couple of years. So you know, it can be done. You just have like the smaller. It's kind of like a fish tank. The bigger the fish tank, the more stable it is. And a snake room is like that. If you have a big snake room that you can heat up, get your humidity up, it makes maintenance easier. But if you only have one snake, that's not, you know, that's not really feasible. So then you're going to have to make up for it by just being more on top of the day-to-day things and observing the snake. And the snake will, you know, the snake will tell you what you need. If it's sitting on the heat, if it's sitting under the heat all the time, then you're not giving enough heat. If it's sitting as far away from the heat as it can get, you're giving it too much heat. And so it just, you know, kind of have to watch those things. If you're having bad sheds, you need to up your humidity and that, you know, that sort of thing. So,
and that's also, yeah, it's also what I've been able to learn is like, there's these little key things that they do to give you indicators that that's where you're fucking up at. And you know, with me, I feel like not only did I have the heat thing overkill, but I was not really understanding how important the humidity side of things were, because I also try to not give a fuck what my ambient humidity was. I just was all I thought about, it only matters what it is inside the cage. But mind you, when you don't have your fucking panels dialed in and that goddamn panel's on, well, what do you think was happening to all the goddamn water that you're spraying in there? And you told me that it all evaporates, it just gets cooked, so it just doesn't last that long, you know. And also too, like, overspraying, like, I remember just like comes a time and place where you're gonna realize sitting there spraying it, like, that's not gonna always fix the issue either. Like, it kind of goes deeper into what you need to do as far as adjustment goes, you would say, right? When it comes to that, like,
yeah, I mean, when, like I said, back in the day, you know, every shed cycle was, you know, half filled with trepidation to see if you could keep the humidity high enough for them to have a good shed. That was kind of, I mean, I clearly remember thinking about those times. Even today, was every time he would go into shed is like, oh my God, now I really have to be on this humidity thing to hope that this snake sheds right. And it was, you had to stay on it, spraying stuff, dumping water in there, plugging holes, trying to, you know, all those things. And you know, that's where having a snake room, you know, is a lot easier. But obviously, I understand that one snake, that's not feasible.
But I was having snakes I was even spraying still not shed right. And that's why I was like, okay, this is an issue. Like, it's not. And also that's why, thank God, you know, for other people in the hobby that do things that, you know, like for instance, Coach Rice, you know, like, you know, Christopher Rice, who's not a big advocate sprayer. He doesn't like ever not spray himself. Like, he will do like it with certain situations, but he just doesn't have to as much because the way he has his room dialed in. And I'm right there with him now. I mean, I probably spray way more than he does just because, you know, I like it. You know, honestly, I feel like, you know, I'm not having to worry or stress about sheds, which I'm used to having to. And again, even when I was on top of the spraying, I would still have some females fucking have stuck sheds. And I fucking hate seeing a snake with stuck shed. Like, nobody likes that. And some of these stuck sheds were so bad that even the overnight soaks were like not even doing it. And then you're just like, God, gotta wait for the next shed, I guess. Fucking see you later.
Yeah, no, it sucks when they have a bad shed. So
good.
Yeah, so you want to keep the humidity up, and like you said, sometimes that isn't even enough. Sometimes, because they might not shed, you might spray them, and then you go to bed, and they might not try to shed for a few hours, and by the time they try to do it, you know, the humidity's already tanked. Because most of the time, just spraying alone isn't going to keep the humidity up all night like you're trying to do, depending on the cage design, the heat design, and all that. So it's definitely, challenging with a small collection. I'm fortunate; my room is insulated so well, and I have the PVC wall panels that my humidity stays crazy high. Only in the summer it sometimes drops if I'm trying to air out the building, open the windows, then the humidity tanks. But otherwise, my humidity is really high.
But you knew about those walls, like you were put on game, like you specifically were out to get those walls for that room because you knew they could handle the humidity, right?
Yeah, when the first snake rooms I had were all drywall, standard drywall rooms, and I got to the point with one. I'm like, I really need to paint this, but I'm like, how do I paint this room with 200 animals in here?
Yeah.
And so and I had some turtles in there, and the humidity that they brought to the table just really wrecked the drywall. So I started looking. Well, actually, I think I talked to the company I buy plastic sheets from, and I was asking them if there was any kind of product, and told him what was going on. And he said, yeah, there's a product they make for indoor pools and like indoor car washes and stuff like that. And so he told me about it and got me a sample, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. Going with that.
And what do they call it?
It's called Truss Core. And
Core.
it's a 16-inch panel. You can get it in 8-foot, 10-foot, 12-foot, or 18-foot pieces, I think.
Damn. And so okay, well, I don't want to get into the cage building yet, but I'm gonna ask you real quick. Do you use that same material to build your cages?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to cages later. But anyways,
No.
All right. So getting back to your room, I want to also, because again, I could get away with a lot of things, maybe that, because I turned this garage into my own reptile room in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And I got away with how I wanted to run, but I feel like I don't know if I insulated it right. There's some things I'm not sure of, and I do know there is going to be a time and place where I'm going to be doing this all over again. I'm going to be fucking either building a facility, but I'm curious, like, maybe you could talk about, because where I live, like, what insulation would you go with? Like, I want to go with those walls that we just talked about, like 110%, but like, what insulation would you consider I go with in that sense?
The insulations is a tough one because it works against you and for you depending on the circumstance. Once it gets warm in the room, then obviously the insulation doesn't let the heat out. But you're also really trying to keep the outside heat from coming in more so than losing the inside heat. So it's kind of there's no perfect system, I don't think. I've used the spray foam. I really like the spray foam. The drawback to the spray foam, obviously, is once it's warm inside, it definitely, it'll hold the heat in just as well as it keeps the heat out. So I had to, believe it or not, the old snake room I just built inside the garage that was on the property when I moved here. And the new snake room, I extended the building, the entire building. I just made it bigger. And that literally, they share a wall, and the two snake rooms couldn't act more different from each other. And one was insulated with fiberglass, and was basically a room inside the shell of the building. So the outside of the building would absorb a lot of the heat and keep it out of the room, because there's basically like not an upstairs, but there was like a 4-foot space above the room to the ceiling of the building. Well, the new snake room, the ceiling is the top of the building. And so it just behaves completely different. And I never had a problem with my room. My room never got over 83, 84, I don't think, in the old snake room. And the new snake room will get 88 sometimes in the afternoon. And that's with no heat on in the room, just from absorbing, heat from the sun, which really freaked me out for a couple of years. It was really bothering me, but it never bothered the snakes. So it learned to live with it.
Well, yeah, because for us, I mean, we could feel that jump, we could feel the increase in heat. And if we're uncomfortable, we're going to think they're miserable. But they could definitely handle that higher heat. As long as it goes down at some point, they could definitely handle it. It's just not obviously, I don't think preferred, you know, but not the end of the world. And I learned that also when I first got this room going. Like I was like, oh, I think I over insulated it because it fucking, like, whenever that, again, when that sun's out, if I don't have AC or anything blowing in this room, my room just cooks. It'll get to like 87. Like it'll just really get hot real quick. And so I hate that I rely so much on my mini split, bro. Like because my mini split has needed to be serviced, and I've been lucky, I feel like. But what are you comfortable going with in your room? Like, do you have a bunch of different mini splits going in different areas? Like, how are you air conditioning your room?
I don't. My main breeder snake room, I don't have any air conditioning at all.
Just fans?
I have a cooler room where I have some turtles and stuff, and that room, and it has a sink where I work a lot, and I keep that room at like 74 or less with a mini split. But my baby room and my big room neither have air conditioning.
So even with the babies, you're cool with it getting as warm as it gets, which you said 88 is it gets up to?
Oh, the baby room is in the front. It's on a different side of the building, and the warmest I've seen it in there was 85.
Oh, that's cool.
And the baby room there's an exterior door that separates it from the cold room, and that door has a window that I can open, and so I can kind of use the air conditioning from the other room if I'm worried about it. And we're only talking about a couple hours in the afternoon. It's not like it's, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 80 degrees. It's not, you know, 85. So it usually does. It's only a couple hours in the afternoon that it gets hot.
So obviously a lot of the breeding, everything you do is based off the weather, based off what I'm hearing. And so I'm curious, when it's the time of the summer right now, like how is your room being like worked? Because you're not feeding much right now, right? Like, what's
I'm starting to feed a little bit now because September is always the transition month here. We go from having the high 50s at night, low 60s at night, to it's, you know, low 50s at night, and it's not usually that hot during the day. And so my snake room starts cooling based on it's had a month or two where it's been getting 85 to 88 during the day, and now it's, you know, barely getting to 84 during the day. And the snakes, a bunch of snakes that were like, you know, just chilling, minding their own business all summer, now I walk in the room and they're like, oh man, things are changing. They feel breeding season coming, and they want to hit the food. So September is the big transition, and it's usually mid-September, but this year our early September was relatively cool. So
yeah.
They can feel the change, and I actually think the hot summer doesn't hurt me. I'm actually starting to think it benefits me in a way, because it gives me a whole nother month where I'm not doing anything, but the snakes, my breeding season in essence has started temperature cycling now. I don't start manipulating the nighttime temperatures until October, but the daytime high is not getting as high as it was. And so the snakes are already like keying in on that. There'll be some males that start pacing in the next couple weeks, and it'll be game on. So,
yeah, I think we talked about this last year on the phone. I feel like I'm about a month or so behind your guys' changes here in San Diego. I always feel like I'm just a little bit behind all you and Bill and everybody else. But like I do know that I don't know where I was gonna go with that. God damn it. Happens at least once an episode.
Well, does Bill, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was running mini splits, wasn't he? So
constant. He sets it to 73 and just forgets it. Or 74 maybe, but his room is so fucking big where it's not actually 73 or 74. His room usually stays about 75, 76.
Yeah, see, that was one thing I noticed. Like, you know, he uses heat panels more, but he uses cooler ambient temperatures. I use hotter ambient temperatures, and so I try not to use external heat as much as possible because of that. So these are things that when people are like, oh, you know, I do this and that, well, you got to figure out what it's not in a vacuum. Just what you set your thermostat at isn't everything. It's what else is going on around your cage.
Yeah. And Bill has a lot of animals, and I, you know, I've been to his place, and I've seen, obviously, just like I feel like anyone would when you have that many animals, you're going to see stuck sheds from here to there. But I notice he doesn't really have high humidity in his room either. And again, even if you're on top of spraying, I feel like if that humidity isn't at a certain liking, you're going to deal with stuck sheds sooner or later or on a regular basis. And I'm not saying Bill does on a regular basis, but I know he gets stuck sheds. And I'm not saying it's impossible to ever get a stuck shed even when your humidity's right, but I don't know. Like, I've seen a huge change in my room. Like, I've seen, like I said, I went from dealing with stuck sheds to never dealing with stuck sheds. All my Neos, everything's fucking great.
Yeah, the thing I wouldn't, that's what scares me about if I tried to air condition my big snake room.
Tries it out.
Is the air conditioning, the way air conditioning works, it's dehumidification.
Yeah.
And so you would be fighting because I have air conditioning in one room, and even with all the turtles in there, if the air conditioning's running, you know, it keeps the humidity at 50%. When the air conditioning is off, that room will get up to 90% humidity. But if it's on, it drops it down to 50.
Yeah, I try to just use my like unit, like as far as the AC cooling stuff, I only use it when I really need to use it, which is at this point it's every day, because my room, like I said, if I don't do something because of the sun, by like 10 a.m. this room will get to like 85, 86 if I don't have.
Yeah, no, that's what I told you on the phone before, is I couldn't. What I do here is so different, you know, than like Bill's nighttime in Texas. Their nighttime temperature doesn't get that cold. Yours probably doesn't get super cold. Like, so my room can get real hot in the day, but we're still going to get to 58 to 60 degrees at night. Even on the hottest day here, it could be 110 degrees here, and it's going to be 60 degrees at night. So
yeah,
I can use that to my advantage. In the South, you know, it's going to get hot and it's not going to cool off. So I would have to figure out how to use air conditioning in other parts of the country for sure.
And you use oil heaters as far as having to heat the room goes, correct? Like once it gets too, okay. And even that could be a tricky thing, right? Like I'll never forget, because when I first got this room going, and my whole I remember I was all like excited about making my own walk-in incubator, and because I remember anyways, not knowing exactly how big your room actually was, your walk-in incubator, I tried to design my own, and I got an oil heater, which fucking goddamn cooked that. Oh, it was just so bad. Like, I just failed miserably trying to do what you did as far as heating up that walk-in incubator. So how are you only use one oil heater per room, or do you have them in multiple rooms? Like, when it comes to having
my bigger snake room has 2, but I only run them. I only have the juice for one, so to speak. So the thermostat runs 2 of them. One of them is set at 600 watts, and one of them is set at 900 watts on each side of the building. And then in the baby room, there's just one, and in the incubator, there's one, but there's the mini one. I don't know if you've ever seen the ones they make for like under like your desk or whatever. I think they only go to 600 watts.
Yeah, I used to use those.
Yeah, so that one has a little tiny one, but my incubator, I'm probably going to switch over to some kind of a heat cable or something. I don't know. The oil field, I think it's too hot in one little spot, and I would like to figure out a better way to do that.
Yeah, and it made sense when you're like, well, you need more of an open space to really kind of have some kind of control. But if it's real small, it's going to get everything in that vicinity is going to get cooked by that fucking oil heater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it hasn't been a problem. It's just I noticed when I'm standing in there, I can feel when my leg is close to it, like, boy, it's pumping out the heat. So I think if I made like a big metal panel or something that I put some heat tape on and put one piece on each wall, that would probably be sufficient. But
all right, walk me through this, dude, because on an average, I know it changes per year. By the way, for the record, how many species did you get off your list this year? 2 or 1?
No, I only added 1 new one this year, and I thought I was at 39, but I think I'm at 38. I think I was hoping to do 2, and I didn't, and so
who corrected you? Who corrected you, Nick?
No, no, I was looking at my spreadsheet and stuff.
You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, damn. Well, that's kind
And I
of
was like, oh, I think I screwed that up, but
So okay, walk me through this. You obviously on an average, like this year, how many species did you breed overall?
man, I don't know, probably 10 or 12.
10 to 12, okay.
Yeah.
And all these eggs that are being hatched are all being hatched in this one walk-in incubator, right?
Yeah, except the turtle eggs. The turtle eggs I hatch in the baby room. I just put them in on top of the Rex in the baby room.
People definitely want to know about your turtles. And guys, we'll get to the turtles in a bit, okay? We'll put the turtle. I made sure to write down that we are going to discuss turtles tonight, okay? You got people in there all wanting to know what kind of turtles, so we'll get there, I promise.
Nice.
But how are you managing that, man? Because we're talking ball pythons, which I know it's not a lot, but ball pythons, chondros, Apodora, scrub. Did you do any scrubs this year? But you have.
Yep, I've bred scrubs this year.
So how are you working this out in a room, like a walk-in incubator room, like situation? Because I know some things might need different temps than others. So how are you adjusting all that? How's that work?
Well, my bottom shelves in my incubator typically run like 87 to 87 and a half, and the top shelf is like 90 or 80, 89 or something. So I just put anything that I'm worried about heat, I put down low, and stuff that I don't worry about heat, I put up high.
And this has been for how many years now? You've been going with this method?
Well, I've only had this incubator for what? This would be my third breeding season with it, maybe. But
same layout though, right? Like it was still kind of
no. I had a different walk-in incubator before, and it worked a little bit differently, but it was roughly the same. The lower shelves were cooler, and so I did the same thing. Put eggs where they needed to go.
What temps do you like to cook your chondro eggs at?
Well, I put them at the bottom shelf, and with a temperature gun, it said 87 and a half, but those things are plus or minus a degree, so it was somewhere in that area. I didn't worry about it.
Yeah. And I'm curious, you don't do no drops, like you don't fuck with anything. It is what it is. And
yes, I straight bake them. I don't drop them.
And what day are you finding them pipping typically?
They've been hatching 52 to 53.
52 to 53. And on a normal average chondro clutch for you, if we talk about 14 eggs, how many of them are actually making it throughout your career of breeding them, would you say? Like, what's the
my career? When I started out, I was good at hatching them, and then I made the mistake of trying to be like everybody else during the middle of my career, and I killed a shitload of eggs. And a couple years ago, I said, "This is fucking ridiculous."
We got to go back. What do you mean, like everybody else? What'd you do?
I switched to doing no substrate and that bullshit.
Oh, the water.
Yeah, so I switched to that, and I had a couple decent clutches hatched, but I had a lot of full-term dead babies. And so I was talking to Tracy a couple years ago, and she's like, "Hey, fuckhead, maybe you should cook them on vermiculite again."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna. So I've done that, and since I've done that, I'm hatching probably 99% of them.
There you go. And I think that's just kind of what it was in general. For me, like I think the first 4 years trying to get the chondros going, I was getting these eggs and putting them straight over water, and I would get fucking at least more than half the clutch to be full term in the egg, like just full term dead, just fully developed.
Yeah, I was probably averaging somewhere between 45 and 65% of the babies would be dead at the end.
Yeah, but also, and I don't know, even though you don't like to drop the temps, I'm a big believer with what I did as far as dropping the temps goes, and I didn't do that back then with that with those clutches when I was putting them over water. But I'm just not a fan of the water substrate. I'm really not. I don't. And what's crazy is like you got people like Waterloo and people who've hatched lace monitors over water, like that's their preferred method. And I know we're talking about monitors, and I'm sure that's probably a lot different. But I wonder, what would you think it is about water substrate, which is giving these neos such high death rates when it comes to trying to hatch?
I mean, I could listen. There's a lot of people that crush it with it. I hatched a ton of other species over water. So it was not, I'm not going to say it was a general incubation problem with being over water, because I probably hatched 15, 20 different species of pythons over water. But with the chondros, what I would notice in my case was that when I would open an egg, or you could even see it sometimes, where it looked like it was trying to slice out. And the chondro eggs were kind of brittle. I noticed they were a little crunchy at the end. And I just, I couldn't reconcile that. And when I finally went back to vermiculite, now they're soft and leathery at the end. And I don't seem to have the problem with, because I don't think those babies just die at the end. I think they try to get out and die. And then I would get a lot of them twisted in the umbilicus. And I think they get twisted in the umbilicus from spiraling around trying to cut that egg.
And I was going to ask you about the whole being tied up in the umbilical cord. Like, that's from what you're assuming, them trying to get the fuck out, and they're just twisting up in there, maybe?
That's my assumption based on what I've seen.
Well, I've had a couple this year that I had to go in there and help, and they were fucking, like, they almost look runty. Like, they almost looked, well, one of them had that weird sack where it was drying up. Like, it was almost turning white, and it's like, the fuck's happening to it, Yeah,
I mean, you definitely, it's not like a lot of these statements are not 100%, we know for sure that's what's going on. We're just giving it our best guess. There's obviously going to be snakes that during development get twisted up and they screw themselves over and, cut off circulation and become runty and stuff like that. There's going to be things like that. Nothing on earth, that has babies, it never goes perfectly every time.
But also, if you see a pattern, then that's something to not ignore either, though, right? Like, if you're on a regular basis, either getting full term, dead in the egg, or they're getting knotted up every clutch, that's not normal, right?
Yeah, no, well, that's, I got to admit, there's a big part of me. I hate myself for as many years as I allowed, the statement of, oh, it's just chondros being chondros. And I'm really pretty disgusted with myself that I accepted that, for as long as I did. I should have started thinking that, I got to figure this out a long time before I did. And, I have to live with that. But.
So I do know one of the reasons why I went with what I went with my substrate in the egg box was because I went to Brian Suson's place. Shout out to Brian, tonight's sponsor. And, I'm a big fucking, I couldn't believe all the goddamn tree monitor eggs that he had. And he was telling me, like, what he has figured out to, hatch out some of these little more, I guess, finicky species of reptiles to come out good is like a big fucking base of substrate that's pretty saturated, and then a level that isn't saturated, and just basically burying those motherfuckers straight in there. But we're not talking like overly like filling the water where it's slushing, but there is a happy medium to the how much you want that substrate to be soaked. And so, I know you're not a fan of the sim containers, but fuck you, dude. They work, okay? First and foremost, proven point, 70 for 70, all sim containers.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying they don't work for me. So that's
right. But for you, in a sense, I'm curious because you do put them directly in the substrate, right? Like, that's your thing. Okay. So what's your happy medium when it comes to, the vermiculite being moistened or soaked? Like, what has worked for you over the years, when it comes to finding the right moisture for the egg box substrate?
When I went back to vermiculite, I told myself that I used to just go by feel. Right. And that's great, but feels change and shit like that. So I decided that I was going to just make a foolproof system, come up with my method, dial it in perfectly, and never change it if it's working. And so I use 400 grams of vermiculite to 300 grams of water in a big container, and that's working like a charm for me. So
call it a day. Yeah.
So I'm done. I'm not going back.
I'm sure you're eyeballing that shit at this point, right?
What?
Or do you actually measure the vermiculite? Are you actually measuring 400 grams, or
Yeah, no, I measure it because I'm like, I don't want there to be. I don't want to go. Did I do that right? So I just get the scale out and measure it.
See, that's why I should probably do that too, but I don't because Sim Container comes with these little fucking little egg trays, which I know Bradley asked, do we put the substrate over the egg tray or the plastic tray? I don't. I actually set the tray right on top of it. Then I put the egg down with the little plastic fucking holder things that come with it. Many different ways. But I will say, I think I was talking to Marshall. I think we talked about it on Tuesday night how, like, I mean, that would be sick to just put everything or actually not Marshall. Who was I talking to? Because Marshall does it the same way you do. He puts that shit directly.
Yeah, well, I think this was his first year going back to putting it.
That's what it was. Okay, so before he actually did it, we were like, damn, like look at each other like that'd be sick to like, put the eggs directly in. But I was like, I'm too much of a bitch. I don't want to do it. And
I think he was the same way as me. He cooked his first clutches on vermiculite, and then as the public sentiment switched over to no substrate, I think he fell victim to it as well as I did. But so we'll see if he. And look, the funny thing is, the one sim clutch that I had that did have a good hatch was with perlite in the bottom, right up to the grate. So
yeah, that's what I do. I put that. I literally fill that perlite straight to the fucking line, which is like the water.
Yeah, I think that was the only 100% hatch I ever had in a sim box.
So why don't you just go back to that?
I don't. The sim box is too small for me. I don't like that small.
Oh, it's too small. I think with chondro eggs, yeah, you're right. It is a little bit too small.
Well, it's the box size isn't as big of a deal. It's what it is. I got tired of fighting with condensation, and condensation is caused from the box itself getting warmer than the incubator, and so from the eggs. And so if you use a bigger box, it doesn't condensate nearly as bad or none at all because the eggs aren't big enough to make the big box get hotter.
We were talking a little bit about the amount of species that you have bred this year, or like the average amount that you go for. But obviously, I learned this hanging out with you a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't a shocker because back when I had the amount of species that I had, in my head, I was like, I'm not going to have these species forever. Like, I want to say I bred it, and then I want to fucking move on with it. That was like my biggest goal with like my stacking species back then. Like I was like, I want to figure them out, how to keep them. Then I want to say I bred them someday, sell the babies and let them go. Not all of them, but there was a good portion of that was my goal. That's something you also do, right? Like obviously it's not all of them, right? Because you still got ball pythons, you still got scrubs, but at this point in your career, as you breed certain things, Ryan, and you know that you have that shit down, are you considering like, all right, like I don't need to work with this shit no more. It's needs to move on.
Yeah, I mean, some people they think it's abhorrent that I do that, but the reality is, I do like all the pythons, but I don't plan on keeping every species. Well, for one, it's just impossible to keep every species of python all at the same time. And then two, you don't love every species that much. They all have their own quirks, and you might find you don't like keeping certain things. But for me, I just kind of had a silly goal when I was younger, and I honestly didn't even really know that I would ever accomplish it. And it wasn't until I actually like did some math and was like, wow, I'm not that far back, that I really focused on, it was a background goal for probably the first 15 years. Then it became a pretty serious goal of the last 5 to 10 years of actually like, wow, I really want to accomplish this. And so, I'm getting stuff, reading stuff and moving it on.
Who's ever gonna really be in that position to give a fuck to do it? Like I feel like you're that guy for a reason, dude. Like, you obviously have that relationships with the Barkers, you're still real close to them. And so you're basically a fucking protege of everything they've done. But you also love this shit too. Like, I don't think you'd be doing it if you didn't really love it. Like you're a fucking reptile nerd for life. Like this is this is your jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the reality is that, if you look at like what gets you excited in the game, for me, I get really excited breeding something new, and then I get really excited, having chondro babies and scrub babies really get me going. So I pretty at this point I do know what, I have a end game where I know this is what my collection will look like eventually. But I still have some goals I got to check off before I get to that point. So,
all right, we're gonna go on. I'm sorry, finish.
Oh, so I just, I won't have a crazy diverse collection forever, because it's, it's not. I would love to just focus on all my chondro projects, more emeralds, Corrales stuff. I love scrubs. I would have more scrubs and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I'll certainly be. I'll dial it back once I accomplish some goals.
What's the most amount of species you've ever kept?
At one time,
Yeah,
probably.
peak.
Well, are we just like, when I talk in species bred, I'm talking pythons. I'm not talking everything else.
No, I'm talking about not even shit you bred. I'm talking about like in your room you're fucking working with, like the amount of species that were under your belt, under your roof at one point.
With lizards, snakes, turtles, probably 40.
40, okay. I thought you were
Somewhere in
gonna
the 40s would be my guess.
okay.
I think I probably have some in the 30s right now.
That's crazy. Okay, so you're telling me, if that's true, you've done 38 species out of the 40 you've ever kept in your entire life?
Well, no, when I say 38 species, that is strictly pythons. I'm not counting any boas, no turtles, no geckos, no lizards, no nothing. When I say that number, that is strictly pythons.
Oh, my bad. Right. So 38 different species of pythons.
Yeah, I think I have 30 some species of python at the moment. 28, 30, something like that.
And then as of right now, how many species do you have? What are you down to?
That's what I was saying. Somewhere, I'm guessing it would be between 28 and 32.
Oh, that's crazy. And then obviously every year is looked at differently, right? As far as what you want to pair, or how does that work, Ryan? Like, how do you prep your season as far as like everything you want to pair for that year?
I base it on, did the female breed last year? How does she look? And then some stuff is not, clockwork. So you give it a try, and, sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. So it, you don't have as much. You're not as statistically as successful the bigger your collection gets. I always chalk it up to when I had 10 female ball pythons, I would get 9 clutches. When I had 50 female ball pythons, I'd get 27 clutches. So it's just, and that was mostly food based. I didn't have enough food to feed them all to get clutches every year, but it, you just statistically, the more you have, traditionally your percentage goes down.
I know why you keep ball pythons, because you have some really good fucking cool line of morphs that I know you like, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who admire your work elsewhere, but they find out you keep ball pythons and are like, why? Like, what the fuck? And so what would you have to say to that?
I mean, I get their sentiment, but at the same time, it's like everybody likes different stuff. I love the ball python stuff I'm doing. Ball pythons are not my favorite species. They never have been. But I don't hate them. I don't despise them like a lot of people do. I've been breeding ball pythons so long. I'm genuinely invested, like emotionally and time, and in the snakes that I have. Most of the snakes I have, I didn't buy. I produced, and I produced most of their parents. Like, I'm well into.
That's pretty deep.
So for me, when I'm not just turning and burning stuff. I made a lot of my stuff. I made their parents, and it would be, I don't know. I've thought about, like, if I could, because a lot of my friends have gotten out of balls, and I'm just like, I don't know if I could do it, man. I'm too, I love the stuff I have, and it took me a long 20 something years to get to this point. It seems
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be. I don't think I would love not having them, but
Well, you
maybe
know,
someday we'll see.
I mean, it all leads to this, man. I can't thank the ball pythons enough for where they've taken me, because only way I was able to scale up each year I was doing this was because I was making money in ball pythons. And so it changed everything for me. And it led to me having this podcast. I would say I wasn't able to kind of pick up steam with this podcast if it wasn't for ball python people, because they all came and fucked with me and supported, and they still do, you know?
Oh yeah, my none of this would have been possible without ball pythons for me.
Because that one check saved your life. Excuse me, not saved, but changed your life. I don't know if it maybe saved. I don't. You could tell me that. I mean, you said you didn't like the job you were working, but you made the deal with the
No,
devil.
I didn't mind the job. It just I was looking at my year-to-date pay stub and the check I got from selling 6 snakes, and I was like, huh. There's the bigger number on the one selling the snakes, and I worked a whole year for the other one. So,
in which those are ball pythons we're talking about, right? Those were pastels.
Yep, pastels.
Sold to Jay Brewer.
Yep.
And he hits you up. Like, how did that remind everyone how that went down? He called you.
Oh man, I don't even remember. I think I contacted him because I was trying to get a caramel ball from him. And we were trying to do a trade, and the trade just didn't work out. But he wanted them, and so I in essence wholesaled them to him, and then I drove him down there.
He cut you a check. Yeah, can you hear me?
Or no, I shipped them to him. I drove down the next year with some pastels that I traded to a guy, and then I drove over to Texas and traded some more of them. That's what happened.
Was there ever a time and place that you've seen in the hobby, and we're talking ball pythons here, where a bunch of ball python breeders were going from one species to the next? And what I mean by that, like, I feel like there was a lot of people in here who initially wanted to work with ball pythons over the last 5 years, but now they're trying to change directions. And is that normal, you think, changing directions? And like, you know, investing in one thing, it not working out, going to the next? Or is that kind of like a newer thing that you're witnessing in the hobby?
I don't know. Like, I got my start with a lot of different species, and so I always kept my collection was probably always about 50-50 other species and ball pythons. But there was like, I noticed back in the day, there was like chondro guys that basically mostly just had chondros, and there were some emerald guys. But the ball python people, there was definitely a huge part of the industry where ball python people just had ball pythons. It didn't seem to have any interest in any other pythons. But I still think in the vast majority, if people are real python fans, if they get into ball pythons, you know, it can be a gateway into other species as well. I'm
glad you said that. Like, and it's not that you have to. Like, you could just, you know, if you admire working with one reptile species, then go for it. That's fine. But I feel like normally you evolve into wanting to work with something else, and that's kind of like where in my opinion, I hope that happens to majority of the keepers coming in, because it's going to grow the passion for the hobby. Like, you know how everything changes when you work with one species to 2 species to now you got a bunch of species. And I will say, you know, as much as the trendy shit really bothers me and the TikTok shit fucking annoying, you do got people out there who have some really fucking cool rooms that have multiple species. And again, like, maybe I wouldn't go that route, but they you know, there's some really cool bioactive shit out there that I've seen, and it's fucking cool that people are putting that much time and attention to getting it to that point, because I know it's not easy to like maintain and have. That's why I'm good on doing that with the amount of animals that I have. But I think like that stuff like that grows the hobby further than we need it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I hear people that say, "Oh, the ball python thing drags other things down," and I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of, you know, I think there's been more good than bad that's come out of it. I mean, it's like everything. There's going to be people doing it for the right reasons, doing it for the wrong reasons, and you know, people get vilified for wanting to make money. And it's like, I mean, I do this for a living, so my goal is to make money. I mean, does that make me terrible?
You know, I'm glad you said that, Ryan, because at the end of the day, right now in 2025, not everyone is making money, and it's unfortunate. But in this hobby, you notice people complaining about other people who are successful, and like they almost like successful people in this hobby are almost targeted. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
That.
Well, it would be, and listen, just like the economic things have changed in people's regular lives, the reptile economics have changed. If
Yeah.
I was trying to start this now with today's prices and building prices, like the buildings that I have and the stuff that I've done, if I had to build it all over again and starting with the current state of the market, it would be much more difficult. Like I freely admit, I was a part of the good times, the previous great times, previous bad times, previous good times, back and forth. And this wasn't built overnight. And, I'm 20 something years into it to get to this point. So it would certainly be harder, I think, to do it today than it was, when I started.
Yeah, I know right now there's narratives being painted, because you can't stop someone from having a podcast nowadays. You could be whoever the fuck you want to portray to be, and you can start a podcast. And what's crazy is like a lot of these podcasters who don't breed or really have no connection into like projects have a huge fucking stance on like how the bigger breeders are treating newer people in the hobby, or not even just all big breeders, but there's a stigma that where if you're coming into the ball python game right now, you're going to get leeched on, taken advantage, pitched a pipe dream, and you're going to get fucked. And I think that's like, yeah, of course that could happen, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you could avoid I could feel like you could avoid that happening to you. Wouldn't you say, Ryan? Like, I mean, and what do you say to that? Like, do you feel like that is the case? Like, the bigger breeders
I think people just have to use their common sense. Like, if somebody is selling you that you're going to get filthy rich, then you should, like, nothing in life works out that way.
100%.
So right there, you should pump the brakes. But can you make money? Yes, you can make money. For the life of me, I don't understand. Most people could use another $5,000 a year in their life, and I don't think that would be that difficult to get for the average snake person to make, an extra $5,000 a year. Now they're going to have to put up some money. They're going to have to go through some hard times. They're going to learn the hard knocks, but eventually you get there. There's nothing in life that usually comes quick that is that great. So, if they wanted it to happen overnight, then that's just not, most businesses don't succeed so fast. And if you don't run it like a business, you're really not going to know how
But I feel like the whole running a good business is more important than being a good keeper to some of these people. Like they're more strategically trying to figure out how they can make this a profitable business versus finding out if they even want to keep it if shit hits the fan. Like, what if all the breeding doesn't happen this year because of some reason? Are you cool with that? Like, are you still going to give a fuck about the animals? Like, are you still going to want to go check them out? Because for me, it's always been therapeutic. Like, all these reptiles is a fucking gateway of whatever stress I'm dealing with. I come in this room, it's gone. And that's
I mean, I would certainly have, if making a living at this wasn't my goal, I would certainly have less animals, no doubt. Because you definitely teeter on that edge of what you can handle. And I probably do a better job at it than even some of my friends that do it for a living. They have more stuff than I do. So
I just knew bad things were coming based off how quick people were getting logos, stickers, merch. Okay, merch. What the fuck? Like, who gives a fuck about your shirt? Like, but it was like a thing. Like, everyone make a reptile shirt, and in the nerve of some of these people trying to charge for it, which what the fuck? But it's like that all costs money. Like, buying all that stuff costs money. Even if your goal is to make some sort of return off merch, good luck, dude. Like, I'm telling you, it's not that easy. But I feel like a lot of people kind of put themselves in position where they spent so much money that they didn't have to spend, where it put them in a predicament where they had to make some sort of return at some point. And they waited a year, they waited 2 years, 3 years, and then boom, this whole drop in the market happens. And now they're a fucking DG clown that they just made that they were hoping they were going to get 2K for, $800. You know what I'm saying? Which even to me, I think like $800 is a lot of money. Like that's what I don't understand either, Ryan, is like, okay, quite the cut in some of these projects, but we're talking $800, $1,000 here. Like that's to me, I still think that's a lot of money. Am I tripping? Like
we take, as snake people that, once you get into the game where you are moving, $500 to $2,000 snakes routinely, you start kind of thinking it's totally normal and you take it for granted. But the average American can't come up with $1,000. Like it's less than 10% of the average American can come up with $1,000 if their car breaks down.
Yeah.
So if you're selling $1,000 and $800 snake, that is a pile of money to the vast majority of people, and so to take that for granted, I don't take it for granted. I do my best to not take it for granted because I know there's been times in my life when that would be just an absolute, pile of money to me. And so I try not to take it for granted, that. So you got to be grateful when you do get those sales and those customers because, you don't know what's going on in those people's lives. If they've got, if times are good, times are bad, it's hard to say.
Yeah, and shout to Marshall, a good pal. What a guy. But Marshall told me a long time ago when I went to go visit his place years back, he's like, dude, I'll take $300 for a ball python all day. Like I'll never say no to that. Like obviously there's a case by case scenario when it comes to that, but like what he was saying is $300 is $300. Like that's fucking good coin right there. And if you could get that, you could get that for a snake. Like let's say like on an average, like dude, that. And to me, I was like, that made sense. I'm like, hey, that's a good point. Like, because I never looked at this like where I'm like, I need to live off the snakes. Like, yeah, of course, making snakes was important to me. Like making money at some point to put it back in was important to me. But I wasn't like, oh, I want to buy my mom a house off snakes. Like, no, like that was never a thing that I could do at all. Like, but yeah,
again, no, it's you do. It's easy to take it for granted, but you gotta. Especially even like selling a snake. There's so many options for people to buy snakes. The fact that people choose to pick me or pick you or pick anybody to buy a snake. I mean, it's like, wow, we really should be, very extremely grateful for that because there's so many choices out there. And I've been told I'm not the greatest at marketing snakes. My emailing or my texting and my messaging skills are not the greatest. I tend to be very blunt, I've been told. I definitely could work on it myself. I don't. And the funny thing is, this is really two different businesses. Selling snakes and making snakes could not be different businesses. They could not be more different.
And guess what? In today's day and age, making snakes is a lot easier than selling. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, well, I came up in the time where I'm like, look, I want my breeding to speak for itself. I didn't really want to put myself out there. I didn't want to, I was never happier in this hobby than when I wholesaled everything I produced.
Oh yeah, because
I had a few customers that bought every baby I produced. They would hatch. I'd throw them in a box. Out they go. I was so happy. I made money. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't have any drama. I loved it. But
what drama?
Eventually,
what drama do you have? Calm down, buddy.
Oh, you still when you ship a snake and it gets delayed and people freak out, or how it is. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's not drama. Like you can't deal with it. It's just.
But it is an episode. It's a whole fucking thing, and it does have some sort of a damper on the day when you have a package lost or something came in the fucking box, however it came, whatever. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and then sometimes I get kind of, I'll have, I don't know, a percentage of customers that I don't know that'll contact me, and they come at me from an angle of where they've been screwed over before, and like they're expecting me to screw them over, and it's really hard for me to. I don't know. I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I'm like, well, you're holding what someone else did to you against me, and then whatever I say is just going to come across as like shiesty, because like if I tell somebody, well, I'm not that person, I'm not going to screw you, and they're going to be like, well, that's what the last guy said. And so I just, that brings me down because I feel like is there that many shitty people out there in this hobby screwing people over that this percentage of customers come at me thinking I'm going to screw them over?
Yeah.
And so that bothers me. And you feel a little bit insulted too because you're like, man, I've been around a little while. Like a quick Google search.
Yeah, motherfucker, you know my name?
Yeah, it should help. Well, I don't want to be like that, but like if you do a remote amount of research, you should be able to figure out I'm a real human being, that I've been selling snakes for a long time. And I would hope that would make you feel comfortable, but it doesn't sometimes. And so it weirds me out. And you can't help but get a little insulted when people are like, you're going to screw me over. And then if, you can't ship the day they want to, then they get all, you're going to screw me. Like they get all worried. And it's just, some of that drama can get old, but
all you have to do next time, tell them, type in Ryan Young Trap Talk on Google and watch how many episodes pop up.
Oh, dude, I've done stuff like that. And they go, well, there's AI now. And I'm like, so you think I'm sitting around making AI videos of myself? Like,
there's AI.
Jesus.
What the fuck, dude? No offense.
I'm like, I can barely function in the real world, not in an artificial world.
Dude, no, but okay, kind of going back to like the reality of things, and obviously I've ever since starting this podcast, like I have people who come to me saying, hey, I'm just coming in, and that's cool, but like one of the things that has always been a thing is like trying to breed right away, no matter what the pairing is, they just want to breed it. And again, I think that's cool too. Figure out if you're even meant to breed. Maybe you're unsure and you don't know how the process works, but the whole like breeding with no really substance goal behind it, like who do you, especially when you're new, where do you go when you have these babies and you don't want them? You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not somebody who's vending or even kind of putting themselves out there. Like it's just not that easy to sell snakes nowadays, especially ball pythons. Like that, definitely ball pythons. And I know this even talking to I have a couple friends who own pet shops locally around here. They want nothing to do with ball pythons. They can't sell their own ball pythons. That's what they're telling me. So
yeah, no, I mean, it's like it used to be really easy to produce basically any python you had, ball python or whatever. If you didn't want it, there was a very active wholesale community.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. It seems like it's harder for people to get rid of snakes than it used to be.
Mexico's popping, I'll tell you that much. I do know some.
Get some of that trafficking the other direction, huh?
Yeah, I know, huh? Get something back, right?
That's right. We'll take your drugs. You can have our snakes.
Yeah, we'll give you ball pythons here. We'll give you no, but like, do you? And I was going to ask, kind of before we kind of shift gears into this next topic, I wanted to ask you, like in your heart, your forever pythons that you're going to want to work with to the end. Would you say ball pythons would be one of them? Like, do you think ball pythons will always be a part of like one of the last species you ever keep before you check out?
No. When I started this, I was only going to keep chondros. That was it,
brother. That's what I'm talking about.
And that has never gone away. So my dream collection is basically all my chondros, some emeralds, and some scrubs. That'd be my dream collection.
But what species of scrubs?
I mean, I like them all, man. I'm a whore. Cymalia is my jam. If it wasn't for chondros, it would be Cymalia. I might have more Cymalia than anybody other than Kush, but I don't know. I like them.
What scrub species do you keep that you have not bred yet?
I bred 2, 3. So I haven't bred Halmas.
Wow.
I haven't bred Barnecks. I haven't bred.
Dude, Stephen Kush has 2 species over you just right off the bat.
He's got like 3 species over me. He was rubbing it in when I was at his house.
Dude.
And shout out to Steven and Brooke. They were amazing to hang out with for a week. I had a great time. They chauffeured me around and put up with my shit. So but dude, I got to give them kudos.
First and foremost, you keep saying that. Like, and Steven, if you're listening to this, Ryan kept making it seem like he was annoying the shit out of you guys. And after I spoke to Brooke and Steven, they loved the fucking car ride experience that they had. And I'm jealous because I already know how you can get. And I really wish I was a part of some of those conversations, if not all of them. But dude, Steven and Brooke fucking love you, bro. They fucking
well, I hate feeling like a burden to people. I'm very self-sufficient. And so it's actually really difficult for me to rely on other people, and so I feel like I'm being a burden no matter what the situation. So
no, man. And I think it was Daytona when I found out the zingers that you had. Remember we were talking about zingers? And dude, that kind of sticks with you after. I don't know. You just have one of those personalities where like once you're at that level with you, comfortable wise, like dude, you're fucking hilarious, Ryan. Like, god damn, you're one of the funniest people I've ever known for sure in the hobby.
Well, I do my best.
All right, listen, we're gonna get to commercial break. All right, so we'll continue on with these topics, guys. So just please hang tight. Be right back after this commercial break. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor. It's Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Cheers. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, and plenty other arboreal snakes have been quite the popularity here at the Trap Talk Reptile Network, which brings me to today's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. Head over to the reptileperch.com and Reptile Perch on Instagram. See what type of design PVC perch is best for your arboreal reptile. But first and foremost, I would also check out David Brom's Green Tree Python availability on the website. And you can also check out his Instagram just to stay current on any projects or any productions that he posts. Thank you so much, David Broms, for your ongoing support. Looking forward to seeing what you have to show in the 2025 season. When you think about building a good community and being a leader of that community, nobody comes to mind better than Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. That's right. Make sure you head over to TX Chondros on Instagram and also head over to Mark's website. See what he has available Green Tree Python wise, and be ready for quite the 2025 Green Tree Python breeding season out of Mark Hager. He's a veteran in the Green Tree Python game, one of the best and nicest breeders in the Green Tree Python game. He's been putting on the whole state of Texas for as long as I've known him. So if you want to see all the amazing other chondro keepers out of the state of Texas, another good reason to go follow Mark Hager over at TX Chondros on Instagram. And again, head over to his website, texaschondros.com. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark Hager, for supporting the trap. Cheers. All right, we're back, guys. Get the like button. Ryan, you're fraudulent. You are fraud, buddy. You hear me, Ryan? You are fraudulent. You know, I have a video of you purchasing a designer chondro from Bill.
Oh, that's a fake. That's a deep fake.
Now that's AI. That's bullshit.
You know better than that.
No, dude. Okay, let's kind of get into it a little bit. I don't know, man. Like, I get it. I feel you're just kind of like a closet fucking, like I don't know how to really call you right now, because I know there's certain locality projects you work with where the visual side of things is important. Like, let's talk about is it the high white Arus, right? Like
yeah.
That's a goal of yours, right? To make something kind of look a little bit more abnormal than what you would see in the wild, right? If you made a
No, my goal isn't abnormal. My goal is to just make it look as like, I mean, if you've seen a few hundred Arus, you'll see like the 10 best ones that have ever come in, and you're just like, you're trying to make some that look like those. And if I ever made anything that like far exceeded what nature throws, then I would probably be turned off by it.
I don't know. I don't believe you still. Because I feel like if you want to make something, because your whole stance is like, well, you should like a green tree python for it being green, because that's the name of it, right? But we're talking about
that's more of a joke saying. I mean, I like a green python that, you know, has blue and yellow, but blue and yellow where it's supposed to be, and white where it's supposed to be.
Okay, if the whole, how many species in the chondros? 5 or 4? 5. There's 4. But you said there's 5 maybe or something like that. Wasn't there something about 5 there?
There's been questions on some islands off the PNG side, but I think it's still just a southern.
So at what point did that become a fact that there was 5? Because at what year? Do you remember?
Well, it never was not a fact. It's just whether people recognized it or not.
Okay.
You know, all this science is our dumbasses catching up to reality.
And I also heard like stuff being misidentified possibly how many years back, but they just got that name for whatever the fuck reason.
People, I mean, there's always going to be stuff misidentified. That's just, I mean, that's just how it is when people get a group of animals that are closely related and look relatively similar. It's going to be easy to, you know, people used to think, oh, if it has any white on it, it's an Aru. And so you would see pulcher animals that had a decent amount of white that was higher than normal for pulcher, and they would sell them as an Aru because they were told if it has a lot of white, it's an Aru. And so that's just, you know, there's things like that.
We know BX could come in pretty wild sometimes, right? There's been evidence of them being crazy black or even blue. Which you're cool with that, right? Like if that were to come in or if somebody had it, if I had it and you knew it was a pure BX, you'd be cool with that, right?
Yeah. I've always said like one of the prettiest snakes I ever saw was that I don't remember what they called him. But he was a cyclops, that solid blue cyclops with the yellow triangles.
Right.
Whatever his name was. But and it always bothered me, like they never seem to care about breeding it to a cyclops. And it's like, well, you love that snake for what it looks like. Your best bet to get that to reproduce itself is to breed it to its same species and then line breed it, and you could probably predictably produce those. But they fucking bred it to every other goddamn species.
But species aside, right? Like, is there any other disadvantage to breeding designers? Like if we were to like, other than like, okay, that's not normal, what else in you makes you not want to breed designers other than that?
I guess for me, like I've bred ball python morphs, blood python morphs.
Yeah, good point.
I guess in essence, I got my fix breeding weird shit. And the older I get, the less I give a shit about that. And the more I don't know, when I look at a chondro, I want it to evoke a feeling in me. And that feeling is a feeling of nature, not human. Just some mongoloid that I've created.
Well, I have nothing after that. I don't know what to say.
And look, I get it. I've seen some of these chondros that people make. I will say the vast majority of the chondros I see people oogling, I don't think are shit. There's a few that are nice, and I go, well, okay, if they all look like that, I guess I can see why people care. But most of the time you see a relatively small male that, hasn't completed its color change to a giant female, and the female usually doesn't look like much, and the male still looks like something, so everybody gets excited. But
I'm going to ask you this topic.
I don't know.
I'm going to ask you this real quick, Ryan, just because, I talked to Patrick earlier today, got his opinion on this situation, and I don't want to get in specifics, but there are people out there producing chondros who say they have a line that is known to get big. Like I have a line that these snakes get big, like they're bigger than normal. how would that be the case? Like, if that's the case that somebody's saying that, like, is that true? Or like, how would somebody have a line that makes snakes that get chondros that get a lot more bigger than other chondros?
I mean, I think it's bullshit, but I don't. I think if they sent it to me, it wouldn't get big. So it's, you know, like there's no such snakes. They have to have resources to get big. Whether like a Burmese python can get big, or it can get really big. It just depends on how much resources are allocated to it. And a chondro is no different. And so if you have big chondros, it's because you like to feed a lot. That's just plain and simple. You feed it huge meals. So I guarantee you I could take anybody's giant line of chondros and make it how it should be in a few years.
And what's funny that you said this, I think during the trip, I think maybe Steven and Brooke were hanging out, but we always see situations where a snake that's being fed pretty fucking handsomely, probably more than that, they get shipped to wherever new owner they're getting shipped to, and they don't fucking want to eat for like months. All because, you know, it goes from one environment getting food shoved down its face to where now that's not the same environment, and something triggers, you would say, right? Like, is that what you meant by that, Ryan? Like, you know, the snake just doesn't want nothing to do with food due to the
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't give it the resources that the person who says they get big gives it, and so it wouldn't have the same outcome. So it's, you know, as basic as that. But yes, I've received big chondros from people in the past that went. I think I had a Nauru female that I got from a well-known person that went 14 months without eating.
Damn, 14 months, and it was an adult.
And it was one of the biggest chondros I'd ever seen in person at the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you know that Aru Biak that I had, one of the prettiest ones I had. It was here on a breeder loan, the one that just died not too long ago. It was like really,
yeah.
So that was the biggest chondro I've ever seen in person. Like when I got that thing in the box, first and foremost, it was 4 snakes, and they came in a fucking box. Like it looked like there were ticks in it. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, holy shit. And it actually kind of made me feel better. Like maybe because I always think like, am I fucking feeding my animals too big? Or I try to be mindful, you know, after a while learning on this show, you know, you kind of realize you don't need to feed as much. And I think that's a part of growing as a keeper. Like you realize, okay, I am feeding too much, just like the heat. Like you realize the feeding thing is a little bit getting out of control sometimes. Maybe not everybody, but it was for me. But that Aru Biak, bro, which God rest her soul now, fucking humongous, bro. Like it looked like that thing was eating small rats every week.
Yeah.
And like,
no, you can, you know, that you actually can control. Like I've done experiments with chondros. You can feed them a ton if you feed them really tiny meals. So if you're a person that, like, to me, my gut feeling on people overfeeding their snakes is it's one, because the snake doesn't talk to you.
Yeah.
So
how do you know?
The feedback that you get that your snake is happy in the conditions that you provide is that it eats.
Yeah.
And so I think we feed for us, not for the snake. And so if you're a person that has to feed your snakes a lot because it just gives you the reassurance you need for you, then feed it a tiny meal. Yeah. And it'll shit that thing out like 3 days later. Even an adult chondro, mostly males. If an adult female, even if you feed it a lot, is still probably going to sit around too much. But if you want to feed big meals, then just don't feed it very often. So if you, depending on what you want to do, you can adjust your behavior to make up for how you like to do things. I don't feed huge meals very much, so I can feed more often. Or if I feed little tiny meals, I can feed even more than that. So it just depends. You know, I'll feed based on what I have. I breed my own rodents. Sometimes I have big mice, sometimes I have tiny mice. Do I sit there and go, oh, I'm not going to feed these because these mice are small or these mice are big? No, I feed what I have. And if they don't do anything between now and the next time I think I need to feed, I won't feed them. If they just sit there and don't move, they don't need to eat. So it's pretty basic. Just observe your snake and it'll tell you whether it needs to eat or not.
So you're saying there's not like a standard size you go with?
No, it's what I have. I mean, I would prefer to feed them, perfectly sized rodents, but I don't always have perfectly sized rodents. 1 week the mice are small, 1 week they're bigger, 2 weeks later they're even bigger. So it just kind of depends what I have for feeders.
I feel like I've always obsessed over the size I need, and I make sure I have the size I need.
No, I don't do that. And I always say, if you can remember the last time you fed it, you're feeding it too soon.
Oh shit. Well,
Now that, if you're trying to breed it and it's a female or whatever, then there's going to be times where you do more than that. But I'm talking about just general keeping them. You don't need, man, they can go off so little food. They are not a big snake. They can live very comfortably for a long time off very little food. And in fact, they'll probably be better off and live longer. So,
and that's another reason why the whole me looking at the size of the snake started becoming an important thing, because I'm like, man, like, I get it. Like, cool, you got a gigantic chondro, but can't be ideal for the health, And I don't know, like, you can maybe think I'm full of shit, anyone out there who's thinking this, but like, I much rather have less clutches and longer lifespan for the snake versus fucking getting as much clutches as I can for the first 8 to 10 years and have it die. Because as much as I would like, I want other stock to come in that I hold back, I don't want to let go of any of these females. Like, I love them. Like, I want to keep them here, like, especially the pure BX stuff. It's like my foundation. It's the stuff that got me going. But
yeah, I mean, I'm both. I can make the case to myself either way: turn them and burn them, or try to have them live forever. It's I could make a good case for either side of that. It just depends what your goals are, and I wouldn't fault you for either one. But if you do just want to have a pet chondro that lives forever, then just feed it mice and feed it really small mice, and don't feed it very much, and don't keep it really hot, and it'll live for fucking ever. Like, it'll live a long time. But
all right, next topic. This one I was really looking forward to, because it's the only one where kind of need your assessment on it when it comes to like the whole waiting to assist feed or having to step in to do something when getting a baby chondro to eat, right? I know you're pretty stern on, like, dude, don't push the envelope, like, let it fucking, like, these come out of the egg, especially the healthy ones, right? They come in pretty full already off that yolk. So there are such scenarios where we're trying to push this thing to eat when it's just not time to eat. And I feel like that's, dude, I had a couple where I just like, all right, you don't want to eat, who gives a shit? And then, like, not too long ago, they gave me a sign that they were hungry, and I was like, oh, cool. So I do know that, like, every snake probably has its personality where they're going to be like that. But I notice, Ryan, like, the ones that aren't eating, right? The ones I'm just like, all right, let you do your thing. Dude, they're getting small quick. And so,
well, are they getting small, or is it that the other ones that are eating are just getting big to make them look small?
Well, they're not shrinking, but they're not getting bigger, and then they're just fucking. They're just like the size of a dime, and it's like,
yeah, but look at their body proportions. Look at they're bigger than they were. They just their head fills out. They don't, like, when you feed a snake that, like, just shed, man, it's still not even, like, they're still not developed. They're still mushy. Their head isn't, they don't have the bulbs behind their head yet. I mean, I don't know. I think I got caught up, talking with all you chondro guys. I started trying to feed shit so fast this last couple of years, and I'm like, man, I had a baby this year that reminded me I need to pump the brakes, and I don't think I'm gonna fuck with them for probably a month after they shed now.
Okay, can you give me details of what happened?
I just had one that didn't eat, didn't show any signs of eating, and of course, like you said, the other babies were getting big, and, like, so it made that baby look small. And then I think in our group chat I posted, like, the snake took a shit. It took it, and I'm like, I can't remember. I think it had been at least 6 weeks or something, 6-8 weeks since it had shed, and it took a shit. And I'm like, okay, that was the last of its yolk. And the snake looked like it had the bulbous head. It was proportioned right. Its body had filled out. It wasn't gelatin anymore. And sure enough, I've tried to feed it and it ate, and it's eaten every time since. And the babies that were clutch mates, a lot of them ate the first try and then wouldn't eat the second try or wouldn't eat the third try. And so I'm like, this snake is already caught back up to the ones that started eating, a month before it did. And so I just watched its development, and it just reminded me that I think they still have a lot of developing to do after hatching that we don't let them do. And I wonder if that can contribute to the prolapse thing as well. So,
well, I mean, I've noticed that these little yolk shits are a lot different than they shit when they start eating. Like it's
yeah,
a little
way
splotch,
different.
like a splotch, right?
Yep.
And the ones that I was like, motherfuckers, when are you gonna eat, or whatever, they kept shitting like that. Like they weren't done shitting. I think I had one do that like 3-4 times, and then it finally ate. And I don't know. I've had multiple scenarios of a chondro not eating until it took a shit, then it ate. Then you have chondros that just eat fucking no matter what's happening, backed up.
Yeah, and like nothing's perfect. You're gonna have babies that don't absorb a lot of yolk. I mean, you're gonna have to watch each snake as an individual. We talk in generalities, but you still need to observe your snakes and judge that based on each baby individually. But that baby just reminded me, because in the past I think I waited at least 2 to 3 weeks before I ever even considered offering food. Yeah. But then, hanging out with you guys and talking to everybody's like, did you get any to eat today? Did you get any to eat today? And I got caught up in all that shit. And so I'm just, next year I'm not fucking around with that. I'll just wait. So.
But nothing feels better than knowing that thing fucking ate. I'll tell you that much. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's what I said earlier. Are we doing it for them, or are we doing it for us?
Fuck, dude. It's for my baby, my little baby, dude. It's about a fucking nurturing the thing you gave Earth to. Like,
yeah, but are you hurting it and killing it with kindness? If it's not ready to eat?
Mine are happy. Mine are all happy.
No, yours are doing great. Like, it's just all you. It's an individual. Like, I'm just probably gonna start waiting a little longer again.
No, but you know what? It's even like, as much as I'm having the time of my life with the stuff I produced this year, I'm also learning, like, all right, maybe the food thing needs to chill out just a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it is like, it just feels good that my baby's eating every 5 days. Like, it's fucking cool. But
listen, once I start trying to get them to eat, I'm very relieved when they're eating, because then it's just but it starts up other stresses. But
it's so true though. It's all for myself, so I could go to bed at night. That's basically it all.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. It's like the it's not for them, it's for us.
Yeah. So true. So true. But we think it's for them, but it's really for us.
Well, we use that as our excuse for, we're trying to be good, but it's for our mental well-being less than we think it's for both, but it's really just for us. So
this topic here, because again, I'm definitely known to celebrate a little bit too early. And I think whatever, I don't think I'll ever learn my lesson when it comes to that. I'm just a hyperactive guy, and I get real excited when things go my way. But I'm excited about this. But I want you to know what you think maybe led to me finally getting to the point where 67 chondro babies are here with 0 prolapses, and I come from a crazy line of like clutches giving me fucking prolapses. It was a normal thing for me, but now I'm not getting any prolapses. And obviously, I don't know. Can I safely say whatever I'm doing is the fucking trick to not getting prolapses again? Or do you feel like, no, like even when you do have whatever you think you have, prolapses is right there at the door waiting for you at any time? Like, it could happen with either the genetics of the snake or like, what I'm trying to say, is it further than husbandry, do you feel like? Or is it further than, a prey item, whatever? I don't know. We have a list of things of what we think causes prolapses, but what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the first 10 clutches I had, I never had a prolapse once, and I did the pinky thing and never. I used to think, what are these people talking about prolapses? Like, what the fuck is that? And then, I've had bunches of them. So it just, I don't know what's really changed. Maybe I'm doing things differently that I haven't figured out. I don't know. So I think it's one of those, like, be happy that you're not experiencing it this year, but I would never. I don't think I would ever be comfortable thinking it was behind me.
Yeah, and listen, I'm still like, I mean, even though, I mean, these snakes are still barely 2 months old, so I mean, it's still like I'm still in that window where I've had snakes get to meal fucking 16 and there's a prolapse, right? So
Oh yeah, no, you're. I mean, you're in that window for a long time, so it's just kind of
right. But I'm just saying,
you're just gonna have to play it out.
let's say this year goes by and all my holdbacks, everything's solid, everything I sold, no prolapses. I mean, that would be something to kind of look into, like what I'm doing that could help other people having to deal with prolapses. I don't know. What I'm tripping out over, Ryan, is like I said, I had about 8 clutches. Yeah, just shy of 10 clutches before this year happening. Every clutch had a prolapse, dude.
Yeah.
And I even had repeat girls that went for me this year that had clutches before that gave me prolapses. But now, no prolapses. And it's just a trip to me, dude. Like, and we always talk about like that. It's like, that's one of the things that really fucking kicks you in the balls breeding is like the prolapse. Like, yeah, the feeding thing sucks. But when you get it to feed, that prolapse hurts more than the snake not eating. I feel like that's
Oh
really
yeah, no, it sucks. And I hope just as much or more than anybody that whatever you're doing is the trick, because then it means it's it might not just be the prey, and then it gives you hope. But it's hard to say. I hope you keep it up. I'm not rooting against you.
Want to know what scares me though? I had about 6 of like my last like fucking just I guess stress fucking babies, all because self-inflicted stress. Like I was just like, God damn it, these fucking things aren't eating. And so shout out to my buddy Juan Farfan. You met Juan. I think you met him at Bill's. Well, you met him at Trap Fest and you met him at Bill's party. He's from he's a tall Mexican dude, owns a taco shop. Juan Farfan, Lifestyle Chondros. Anyways, so I was like, hey Juan, can you take some of these, dude? Like I was like, they strike, but they're not eating. And I was like, I'm just curious what they would do in your collection. And he's like, yeah, for sure, bring them. And so I sent them 4, and 3 out of the 4 fucking ate for him, no problem. And I'm like, oh, cool. What'd you offer? He's like, I offered like week-old mice, which I've been doing ASFs this entire time. And he offered chick down, and I've been offering quell down. And I never had chick at all. And so I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh, I went to his house. I picked up a chick. He even gave me some mice, but I had some mice in the freezer. I just never thought about offering mice instead. And the ones that I had here that were still being a pain in the asses, either not striking or acting like they just want nothing, do nothing, they all fucking ate, dude, off the mice. So, but now, I'm worried. Okay, are the mice the fucking issue? Like, now am I going to see prolapses with these? Which I would say, if any of these fuckers that just ate mice prolapse, we could easily fucking pinpoint what the issue is. You would say, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer that the rodent babies is the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's obviously other contributing factors: heat, temperature, humidity, water.
Yeah,
all the things.
Yeah, right. It's not just one. It's not directed to one thing, even though it could be based off the scenario. But that's the thing. There's a list of things that could cause the prolapses, and that's.
Yeah, I still think it's them trying to shit out that bad, gunk more than anything. But let's put it this way: if the other things aren't perfect, then you might have it might bring out the worst of the prolapses. So,
out of all the species that you have bred and sold to people in this hobby, where does Chondro land on that list of like the most difficult species to sell? What I mean by that, like, let's say you have a baby that you feel like is ready to go, Ryan. It goes off to the customer, and the customer is saying it's not eating. Does that happen a lot with chondros for you or no?
It happens. I have a female chondro that I have in my collection that I sold years ago. And it broke my heart to sell her. I desperately needed the money at the time. I sold it to this lady, lived in Idaho actually, and for like 6 months she couldn't get it to eat, and I was like begging her, like, I'll buy it back, let me have this snake back. And literally I met her at the McDonald's in town. I drove home and I fed the snake in the cup that she brought it to me in. And I sent her a picture, and I'm like, well, I don't know what your problem was, but
Like you fed it in the car, or you fed it at home? Like in the car?
I got it home and I put it in the snake room for like an hour, and then I went and fed it.
I don't know
So-
why I pictured you just eating McDonald's in your driver's seat, and you're just like trying to eat this fucking thing.
Probably because I'm a fat ass. That's what you're picturing.
I got this thing to eat in fucking 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it likes French fries, didn't you know?
Yeah, you're supposed to scent it with the fucking fries.
Yeah, when you say scenting with chicken, you mean chicken nugget, right?
Hey, what year was this?
Oh man, this was probably 2012,
Oh, yeah.
2010.
The fries were already whacked by then, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Late 90, early 2000 McDonald's fries are so legendary, man. There was, I don't know if they switched the oil or what it was.
Yeah, I think they've switched it to the new seed oil shit or whatever. So.
God, do you remember? Okay, I remember when McDonald's used to sell bucket of fries, like it came in a bucket. Do you remember that?
I think I only ever saw that at a birthday party once.
Dude, yeah, I remember bucket of fries. And remember they had 30-cent cheeseburgers or 29-cent cheeseburgers or something like that. Like,
Oh man, those were the days.
dude, oh my God, man,
$250 chondros and 30-cent cheeseburgers.
what a fucking life, dude. My God. Did you ever grow up near a Jack in the Box? Was Jack in the Box in your area or no?
Yeah, we've had Jack in the Box for a while. Not when I was really young, but I was probably almost a teenager when they started coming in.
So Jack in the Box was found in San Diego, and my whole life I've had Jack in the Box, bro. Like I remember Jack in the Box like off menu shit that they stopped serving in like 96 and shit. Like that's how much like Jack in the Box and I are like this. Like my grandpa, I used to make all my classmates in elementary school, that fucking goddamn cardboard fucking pizza that we used to get in school, that terrible fucking lunch.
Oh yeah, that was so good though. It was terrible, but it was good.
No, the pizza was good, but there were some times where it's like, fuck, I'm not eating that. I think spaghetti or something was not good. But anyways, when I knew it was those days, my grandpa would come and bring me Jack in the Box, and he would
nice,
dude. And I would walk back to the table with like a whole combo, and these kids are like, "What the fuck?" And I'm just like. Dude, what a time. Anyways, I don't mean to get all fat ass on people, but I do miss the old school Jack in the Box day. Jack in the Box, it will stay, even though I don't really fuck with that food much, that food still is pretty close to like OG stuff. Like it's not too far off. Jack in the Box is still pretty good.
Well, you're gonna have to get up here and have a super ham one of these days with the old thrifty scots.
Okay, explain what a super ham is for the people. What's a super ham?
Oh, there's just an old burger joint in Spokane called the Thrifty Scotsman, and my favorite burger is the super ham. So.
What's on it though? Come on, describe it. I want to hear it. What
it's just a big ass burger with ham and every fucking thing else on it. It's
bacon, right?
Delicious.
Isn't there bacon too, or no?
Yeah, it's got bacon.
Bacon, ham, burger.
Drizzled with some pig candy.
Dude, I cannot wait. Okay, how far is the Thrifty Scotsman from your house?
About a half an hour.
That's not bad. Okay,
so it's in the valley.
So when me and Marshall do go visit you, we're for sure gonna go get. We're going.
Oh yeah, we'll be getting thrifty on our way out to the gorge. So
fucking A. Dude, oh my God. Oh man, shout out to Marshall.
But we could do Paul Bunyan and Zips too, so you'll have all kinds of options.
I think I asked you this because obviously herping is a huge thing to you. Fucking God bless. But your area, like, is there areas where you live that you like to go explore and shit like that? Is there, like, just stuff that you like to go fuck around with in your area, or do you like to herp deeper in other parts of the country?
No, I really like to go elsewhere because it's like everything you take for granted what you have. There's not a ton of herps up here. Rubber boas are fun to catch. I really like catching those. There's some places in Washington that have a decent amount of species to catch a few hours from here. And then even just outside of Spokane, there's a lot more snakes than right here. But I like to herp here a lot. I see my friends from Seattle. I'll meet up with them and go herping. But I definitely love to herp Texas and Florida and elsewhere.
Did you and Steven and Brooke find anything when you were out there with them?
Yeah, we got some rattlesnakes and a box turtle.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. You're herping outside the country. I know, obviously, you've been in Australia. You Went to Sarong earlier this year, right? That was this
Yeah,
year?
I was in Indo in the spring, and I've been to Australia a few times, and I went to Asia, Southeast Asia once.
Why, as much as you love chondros, how come you give two shits about herping for them? And why did you? What?
That's not true.
Bullshit. Go to that All in the Tree Tuesday episode.
No, all I was saying, I think I was misunderstood. And that I said that if I didn't find one, I wouldn't be devastated because I found the trip far exceeded my expectations on the shit that we saw. So I could live with not finding one as long as I put in the effort. If I didn't put in the effort, then I couldn't live with the results because I would always second guess myself for not putting in the effort. But I put in the effort. It finally paid off. I was grateful. I was very happy. It was the coolest fucking thing ever. But if you go herping and you can't enjoy the ride and not see anything, then you shouldn't be herping.
And obviously there's levels to herping, right? And we're talking about, I don't know, like what would you grade the level of herping that you were doing in Indonesia? Like that's not for the average herper, you would say. Like you got to be ready to like kind of be into some fucking crazy situations, or like what can you explain about like what to expect when you actually go to the fucking places you went to go herp in like Indonesia?
I don't know. I mean, some people say it sucks, and there's things that suck, but I think anytime that I would be down about anything or annoyed with anything, you would just have to remind yourself that, like, look at where you fucking are. Like, and if you can, a lot of it's a mindset. Suffering is a mindset. If you can let things annoy you, or you can look at the bright side. And I tend to, when I'm herping and things aren't going my way, I could just take a step back and go, look at where I am. Look at what I'm doing. Like, who fucking cares about the rest of this minutia bullshit? I'm in the place that this creature comes from. That should, like, yeah, I really want to find one, but there's still a lot to see and learn and experience. And if I find one, that's amazing. And nobody was fucking happier to find one than me. I was all about that thing. I could have that was the hardest snake to walk away from I've ever fucking caught. So
what species was that again?
Polker.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was only the second time I'd looked for chondros. I looked for chondros once in Australia, but I was only there for two nights, and it had been bone dry for like a month. And so we didn't have any luck.
So what's the pinnacle species that you want to herp for? Like I'm sure there's more than one, but for whatever.
Oh, well, like we're talking fantasy land, finding a Cropan's boa in Brazil would be fucking insane. I would have told you a crocodile monitor, but I did that. So kind of took that off the fucking list.
On that last trip, right?
Yeah. So now, I mean, I really want to find a roughy. I'd love to find an own pelly. And I would love to go to the Bismarcks and some of the PNG side Simalia stuff. So,
and how much more traveling is in your future, Ryan? You would say as you kind of get closer to your age, like do you feel like you will at some point wean off so much breeding and do more traveling? Like, do you feel like traveling is going to be a huge thing for you in the future?
I don't like. I hope it is, but I have to make money to pay for the trips. So, luckily, I'm married to an amazing woman who lets me, or not lets me, but doesn't get mad at fucking me being gone. She probably even enjoys it. But
I like how you even said like, well, not let me, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be told what I can fucking
my own motherfucker. You feel? Go.
I mean, listen, happy life, right? But
that's a fact.
I would love to, and part of the reason I fantasize about having chondros and emeralds and stuff is those snakes would their husbandry is once they're dialed in is so easy that I could be gone longer periods of time and not potentially have problems. So
yeah, that's another. I mean, as I dialed back species wise and just only have emeralds, chondros, ball pythons, and a pair of blue tree monitors, dude. It's a fucking walk in the park here. Like, I love it. Like, it's
oh yeah, I always joke if I had 300 chondros, I'd have nothing to do all the time. So.
That's so funny. But no, fuck that. I do a lot of water changes. I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm still busy around here.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad. I wish I did it. I wish I was better at doing it more often because I think it would be very beneficial.
All right, wrap up question for you, and then we're gonna get into these round 2 hot seat questions. All right, Ryan.
All right.
But you know, as of right now, like, what do you feel like one of the most underrated species in the reptile game is out there that you feel like if someone is wondering like something cool to work with, right? Because I feel like I get that question a lot. Like, MJ, what else would you work with other than a ball python or whatever? And I always go to chondros or emeralds. That's just my thing. But I was wondering with you, like, and it doesn't even have to be something you keep. Maybe it's something you haven't kept yet. But I'm wondering, is there anything out there that you're wondering that, like, man, this needs more attention, or I wouldn't sleep on this species. I would work with it.
I mean, I've worked with a lot of stuff, but there's, you know, I really get a lot. I keep some mountain king snakes, and I actually really like them. I get a kick out of them. What else? I like most stuff.
No other colubras though, right? Like that's
the only colubrids I have. I definitely could see myself with some more colubrids. I really want to get some Rhine snakes, a green Asian rat snake. I'd like to get some of those.
Ryan Martinez.
What was that?
Ryan Martinez from Florida. Is that Ryan?
I don't know him.
Oh, you said Ryan, right? Didn't you say from Ryan?
No, Rhine snake. REIN.
Oh, Ryan snake. Oh, Ryan snake. Okay, my bad. I think.
Yeah, an Asian. It's an Asian term, Rhine snake. But I'd like to get those. I'd probably do those rhino rat snakes. That's something I've kind of always wanted to work with. Maybe some spilotes. Those are colubrids that interest me. Turtle stuff. There's a ton of turtle stuff I could easily be swayed.
Oh yeah. Okay. I can't skip the whole turtle topic. I'm so sorry. We need to kind of get into, first and foremost, what turtles you hatched out this year that you're really excited about, because I know it's a big deal for you, and I feel like you should give some time to talk about what you hatched out this year and then all the other turtle species you keep and work with.
Oh, I don't have that much. I produced some spotted turtles. That's the only turtle I produced. But I mean, there's nothing better than a baby turtle, man. It's just a little turtle the size of a dime. Look, dime or a nickel. It's just so cute. But even my kids and my wife are like, oh, turtles are hatching. They can give a shit if the pythons are hatching, but
I don't know anything cuter reptile-wise than a baby turtle. Like that's kind of...
I don't think such thing exists. I love my chondros to death, but a baby spotted turtle makes the chondro look.
But a baby chondro could look like a fucking, like the devil's pet. Like it could be a little, little mean motherfucker. And you got this little tiny turtle that just, like, God bless it. Like it just wants to be a turtle. And so, is there a species?
Yeah, no, I love my turtles. I would have more if I lived in the South, man. Well, I'd be trouble. I'd have so many turtles. It'd be a problem.
All right, listen, hot seat questions for you, Ryan. These are gonna be really quick and straight to the point. So you know how this works. Quicker the better. Guys, get the likes up, please, for Ryan coming in hots. And here we go. One species of turtle you would like to work with that you don't work with yet.
Galapagos tortoise.
What's one venomous reptile that you would like to keep if you were to keep a venomous?
One of the palm viper species.
What's one venomous reptile nobody should keep?
Oh shit, I don't know. Cobras probably.
Cobras. What's your top 5 favorite reptile species?
Morelia pulcher, Morelia viridis.
Wow, really, dude?
Morelia uterensis, Morelia azurea, and then probably Cymalia, whatever. Fill in the blank, any of the scrubs.
You're going to give the scrubs before the short bust emeralds? Really?
Probably.
Wow, dude.
Well, you said python too, though. You got to go back and rewind the tape.
I said reptile species, didn't I?
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe I did say python species. I thought I said 5 species of reptiles, but
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, the chondros would be 4 of the 5, and then pick your cymatic.
All right. All right. Last but not least, if you could keep one species and one species only, what would it be?
It'd be between Pulcher and Viridis, and I would probably go Pulcher.
All red neos, right?
I'd go Pulcher so I could have both colored neos.
Okay. Okay. Last one. Bonus one. Red or yellow neonate, Ryan? If you had to pick.
Well, what's the goal?
The goal is God came down, was like, hey, here's the thing. If you want to produce chondros ever again, they're only going to be yellow or they're only going to be red. You have to pick which one. Which would you pick?
Yeah, but if you're trying to do certain things, like if you're trying to make high white stuff, then you're better off with yellow babies. If you're trying to make more blue, then you're probably better off with red. So it just kind of...
What's more important to you? You got
probably yellow. Probably go white. So I'd go yellow.
We're ending this right now. Everybody, Ryan Young, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I thought we were going to talk emeralds the whole time. I thought that's what the topic was going to be.
Emeralds?
Yeah, when you originally asked me on the show, you said we were going to talk about my litter of emeralds. But
the title says Ryan Young, the real MVP of breeding pythons.
Well, I know, but we talked about this weeks and weeks and weeks ago, so it just changed.
I don't remember what we talked about weeks ago. I was high as shit. Like, what the fuck? We were having the time of our lives, probably. Who fucking knows?
That's fine. I'm fine with that. I'll go with whatever. I can pivot.
Yeah, well, listen, it's not like this will be the only fucking time you're on Trap Talk. I love having you on this network, and I know you're more found on a Tuesday night, but I want to have you back here on a Thursday night for sure.
I told you I'm down most nights. I can participate.
All it takes is one Tuesday night for Bill to be like, I'm going to Sweden or some shit, and then once that happens, Emerald Tree Bow episode right then and there.
All right, there we go. Let me know.
No, but honestly, dude, it's a fucking honor to have you on the show. Other than you doing so much by giving us information, man, you're an awesome friend. So thanks for being a homie. But where can people follow you at? Why don't you just drop all your social media plugs in case anyone wants to reach out or for whatever?
It's Instagram. Shit, is it me? I can't remember if it's my name or my business name. It's either Ryan Young or Molecular Reptile.
And you're not active much on Facebook?
I'm probably on Facebook more than Instagram, but if I post it on Facebook, I post it on Instagram. So,
well, I will say one thing I couldn't give you shit tonight on was not reposting my stories. You've been really good about that, so I appreciate.
Yeah, I was in the car when you tried to get me to do one. I'm like, dude, it's not working. I was trying.
And bless your heart, bro, because I know there's been times where you've done it and it shared it like 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, that's because I figured it didn't work, so I just keep doing it.
Guys, please go give this man a follow. I'm sure you're already following him out there, but you can find the link in the description below. Ryan, keep up all the great work, man. And again, thank you, bro. Like, I can't say how much you've helped me as a keeper, and with that help comes more passion for what I'm doing. So, and I know I'm not the only one out there that you've helped. I've heard from fucking numerous people how many times you've looked out for them, and so just you're a huge asset to this entire hobby, man. So thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. It's it means a lot to me that it helps you out.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk soon. But guys, do me a favor, give him a follow on Instagram. Give it up. It's a wrap for Ryan Young, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Hey, real quick, that intro was sick, wasn't it? You like that intro?
It was. That was pretty wild. That song is burned into my head now. So.
But yeah. All right, man. Well, have a good night, Ryan. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care, man. Appreciate you.
Epic. Good episode. I think he's right. We were supposed to talk emeralds. Holy shit. Oh, well. This was a great episode, though, because I will say selfishly, I caught everything I wanted to talk about. Because again, I got so much of my success to owe to like people like Ryan. I've gotten helped otherwise, but man, I can't think of one person who's helped me out with so much. I've gotten help with so many different things, but Ryan's helped me out with a lot, and all it was simple adjustments here and there. So yeah, dude, I hope this episode helps anybody out there, because that's what it's all about. This was your first time watching, please hit that like button, and of course hit that subscribe button. And if you hit that notification bell, select all, You'll be reminded of every episode that's released out of the network 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. You can find a brand new episode right here. Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, the only reptile network giving you new, fresh content that has substance, like real content. This isn't a freaking, jerk around, fucking give me some stickers shit. No, dude, we're really talking about how to progress and how to be an elite keeper in this game. All right. And how you can possibly make a living out of it. You never know. You never know. Anyways, great times. Guys, find all the sponsors in the description below. Check them out. What a good night. I'll catch you guys here next week. Enjoy your weekend. And I'm out. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor, Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, and plenty other arboreal snakes have been quite the popularity here at the Trap Talk Reptile Network, which brings me to today's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. Head over to the reptileperch.com and Reptile Perch on Instagram. See what type of design PVC perch is best for your arboreal reptile. But first and foremost, I would also check out David Brom's Green Tree Python availability on the website. And you can also check out his Instagram just to stay current on any projects or any productions that he posts. Thank you so much, David Broms, for your ongoing support. Looking forward to seeing what you have to show in the 2025 season. When you think about building a good community and being a leader of that community, nobody comes to mind better than Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. That's right. Make sure you head over to TX Chondros on Instagram and also head over to Mark's website. See what he has available Green Tree Python wise and be ready for quite the 2025 Green Tree Python breeding season out of Mark Hager. He's a veteran in the Green Tree Python game, one of the best and nicest breeders in the Green Tree Python game. He's been putting on the whole state of Texas for as long as I've known him. So if you want to see all the amazing other chondro keepers out of the state of Texas, another good reason to go follow Mark Hager over at TX Chondros on Instagram. And again, head over to his website, texaschondros.com. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark Hager, for